It started with a check and a promise I made to myself. I told Ethan I'd help his family. Even though they never liked me, they were proud, always acted like I wasn't good enough for him. Too ambitious, too calculating. But I paid off their $150,000 debt anyway. Medical bills, a defaulted loan, and some shady investment Ethan's brother Zane had dragged the whole family into. Ethan came to me one night, voice trembling, said, "If we don't help, my parents could lose the house." I didn't hesitate. I transferred the money the next morning. They barely said thank you. His mother mumbled something over the phone, and his father didn't even call. Still, I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd change their minds about me. I didn't care much about them, but I cared about Ethan. I thought love was enough. It wasn't. 3 weeks later, Ethan started pulling away. No more good-night kisses. No more checking in during lunch. He blamed stress. "Work's a nightmare," he said. "Dad's not doing well." I gave him space. Maybe too much. Because then one night after dinner, he sat across from me with that dead look in his eyes and said, "I need to tell you something." There was a silence, one that seemed to stretch forever. "I cheated on you." He said it just like that. No emotion, no remorse, just the cold finality of a truth that had already been accepted by him long before he gave me the courtesy of hearing it. I stared at him, trying to process what I just heard. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. But I didn't. I stayed silent, waiting for more. He looked surprised I wasn't crying. "It was a mistake," he said. "But I have to be honest, it wasn't just once." I felt like I'd swallowed glass. My heart didn't race. It stopped. I asked him who. He hesitated, said it didn't matter. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water to stop my hands from shaking. When I came back, he was holding his phone. "There's more," he said. That's when I knew this wasn't about guilt. This was about control. He wanted to manage how the truth came out. He wanted to choose the pace, maybe even rewrite the story before I had time to respond. But I didn't interrupt him. I just listened. He started naming names. My best friend, Tasha. I felt my stomach churn. He said it started at a holiday party when we had a fight, and I left early. She stayed, and he was drunk. That was his excuse. "It didn't mean anything," he said. I laughed, loud and bitter. "And you just happened to do it again?" And again. His face twisted, like I was being unreasonable for not seeing it from his side. "And there's more," he said again, this time almost ashamed. Another name. Lena, his brother Zane's wife. That one hit harder. Lena had always been cold to me, but I figure it was family loyalty. I had no idea she was screwing my husband behind everyone's back. I stared at him like I didn't know who he was. Because I didn't. "I didn't want to hurt you," he said. But he did, over and over. While I worked overtime, while I cleared his family's mess, while I took calls from debt collectors pretending to be his assistant just to buy him time. I didn't cry that night. I didn't scream. I just walked into the guest room and closed the door, sat on the bed, looked at the copy of the bank transfer receipt on my phone. $150,000 gone. For what? That night, as I laid in silence, staring at the ceiling, I thought one thing. He doesn't know it yet, but this was the worst mistake of his life. He thought his confession would be the end of it, that he could dump the truth on me, let the shock settle, and move on with whatever fantasy life he'd built in his mind. But I wasn't done. I wanted every detail. I wasn't going to walk away blind. So I started with the one name that hurt most, Tasha. I called her the next morning. She answered like nothing had happened, like we hadn't spent years as best friends. I didn't tell her what I knew. I just said, "Can we talk?" She came over within an hour. Fake smile, full face of makeup, and energy that screamed nervous. She must have known Ethan had said something. I didn't waste time. "How long were you sleeping with my husband?" Her mouth dropped. No denial, no outrage. Just silence. Then tears. She said she was sorry. Said she didn't mean to hurt me. That it happened during a bad time for both of them. I asked if it was still going on. "No," she said. "It ended a few months ago." I asked who else knew. She hesitated. Said Lena found out. That's when all unraveled. Lena knew because she was sleeping with Ethan too. Tasha said it like it was common knowledge, like I was the last one in the room to figure it out. My pulse started to race. I asked her how long Lena and Ethan had been going behind Zane's back. She said it had been at least a year, maybe more. Sometimes they used family events as cover. I felt sick. I didn't cry. I thanked her for being honest, even if it came too late. Then I asked her to leave. I didn't plan on reaching out to Zane. I didn't want to involve him. But then I remembered something months ago, after a fight with Ethan. I had gotten drunk at a family function. Zane found me crying in the garden. He stayed with me, talked me down. That night, something happened. We never spoke of it again. It had been a moment of weakness. A kiss, a mistake. It stopped before it went further, but was enough to leave a scar I buried deep. Now, with everything coming out, I needed to know where he stood. I called him, told him the truth about Ethan and Lena. He was quiet, then said he already knew, that he'd suspected for a while, but didn't have proof. I told him Tasha confirmed it. He sounded like he wanted to scream, but didn't. Instead, he said something that stuck with me. I should have told you what I knew, but I didn't want to break you. I asked him why. Why protect me? Because I care about you, he said. I always have. It clicked then. That night in the garden. It wasn't just about comfort. He felt something too. And I realized I wasn't the only one betrayed. Zane was trapped in a toxic marriage, married to a woman who had no loyalty. And now we were both sitting in the wreckage Ethan and Lena left behind. But that wasn't all. Zane then told me he suspected Ethan had used some of the money I gave their parents to pay off Tasha's credit card debt. He said he saw the transactions. I opened our joint bank account history. There was $12, $500 wired to an account I didn't recognize. I called the number linked to it. It belonged to Tasha. I sat there, staring at the screen, the numbers swimming. I'd paid off Ethan's family's debt. Tasha got a financial thank you. Lena got satisfaction. And I got nothing. That's when the anger hit me like a freight train. Not heartbreak. Not grief. Cold, focused rage. This wasn't about betrayal anymore. It was about justice. If they all thought I was going to fade quietly into the background, they didn't know who I really was. I had loved them. But now, I was going to destroy them. I didn't scream. I didn't warn anyone. I started collecting. Every message, every transfer, every shared photo. I backed it all up. I called a private investigator, gave him names, dates, and access to every piece of data I had. Within a week, he sent me a folder that felt like dynamite. It had screenshot of Ethan's text to Tasha, videos of him entering a hotel with Lena, and bank transactions that made my stomach turn. The most disturbing? Ethan had drained over $30,000 from our joint savings over 6 months. One transfer to Lena's private business account, another to a consulting fee, under a company name I'd never heard of. The PI confirmed it was a fake LLC. Guess who was listed as a registered agent? Zane. I confronted Zane. He looked ashamed. Said Ethan had convinced him to use the shell company to hide the money from his parents. Something about keeping it off the books, in case there were lawsuits from the loan default. I asked him if he got a cut. No, I was stupid. I signed papers without reading them. I asked if he was still involved with Lena. No, she's been cold for months. Now I know why. I told him I had evidence of the fraud, the affairs, and the financial manipulation. I said I didn't trust him, but I didn't want to destroy him unless he gave me a reason. He offered me a deal. He'd testify if I needed him, give me Lena's emails, and step back completely. I accepted, for now. Then I called my lawyer. I told her everything. Not about the affairs. Just the money, the shell company, and the debt I paid off under the assumption it was a gift for family, not fuel for betrayal. She told me I had a strong case if I could prove Ethan misused marital assets and collaborated in fraudulent financial activity. I could freeze the account. So I did. In one morning, I cut off Ethan's access to every account he shared with me. Bank, credit, even the cloud drive. I pulled the remaining $8,000 into a separate account under my name. He noticed. He called, asked why his car got declined. Maybe it's karma, I said. Then I hung up. He texted, called, left voicemails. Said we should talk. Said he needed time to explain. I ignored him. Instead, I planned a dinner. One last gathering. Ethan, Lena, Zane, and Tasha. No spouses, no kids. Just the 5 of us who had turned each other's lives inside out. I sent a message saying I want to clear the air, talk things through. Each of them replied with some version of, sure, let's talk. They thought I was broken, that I was trying to salvage what was left. None of them knew I was about to end it all. I printed everything. Screenshots of Lena and Ethan booking hotel rooms, voice memos from Tasha begging Ethan to leave me, the bank statements showing every shady transfer. I even printed the contract Ethan tricked me into signing when I paid the family debt, which I now knew waived my rights to reimbursement, a clause I didn't catch because I trusted him. That clause wouldn't protect him now. Fraud nullifies everything. I labeled the folder Family Circus and tucked it in a manila envelope. It was thick, heavy, like the weight of all the lies they'd thrown on my back for years. They wanted war disguised as family. They wanted secrets wrapped in smiles. Now they get truth served cold. I didn't need to scream. I just needed to press play. Let the facts do what vengeance never could. Strip them the illusions they built and leave them to rot in the mess they made. They came, one by one, thinking I was here to make peace. Ethan showed up first, smug and cautious, dressed too carefully like he wanted to sell the image of a wounded husband. Tasha arrived next, fake sincerity smeared all over her face, her voice soft, pretending she didn't destroy a decade-long friendship. Lena looked annoyed from the second she stepped in, arms folded, lips tight, trying to project control. Zane looked exhausted, but he gave me a short nod. He knew this wasn't going to be small talk over wine. I didn't speak. I handed each of them a folder. No dramatic monologue, just silence. They flipped through the pages slowly at first, then faster. Eyes widened, brows furrowed, mouths dropped. Ethan spoke first. Where did you get all this? I didn't answer. Tasha muttered, this isn't fair. You're twisting things. Lena stood up. You're insane. You set us up. I stayed calm. I didn't set you up. You did this yourselves. I just connected the dots. Zane didn't say anything. He was reading every word like it was the first time anyone had ever told him the truth. Then I dropped the final piece. My lawyer's letter stating I was filing for divorce, contesting spousal support, and submitting evidence of marital fraud. Ethan went pale. Tasha gasped. Lena looked stunned, finally realizing she had no leverage. Zane kept his eyes down. He already knew. Ethan exploded. You're doing this over some money? Over a few mistakes. I leaned forward. You betrayed me, stole from me, and humiliated me. This isn't about a mistake. It's about a pattern. He tried to pivot, said we should handle it privately. I told him there's nothing private left between us. The next morning, every financial report would be in the hands of investigators. The IRS would get a copy of the shell company's filings. And Lena's business? It was now flagged for audit. Tasha started to cry. You're ruining all of us. No, I said, you did that the moment you decided I didn't matter. Lena scoffed. So what now? You think you're better than us? No, I replied. I just stopped pretending you're better than me. The room was quiet. No more deflection. No more lies. Just panic. I turned to Zane. I kept your name out of the legal reports. But if I find out you lied again or covered anything up, you'll be listed right next to them. He nodded. I understand. I stood, picked up the extra copy of the documents, and walked to the door. No hugs, no goodbyes. I looked at each of them one last time. You took everything from me, my trust, my time, my money. I'm just taking back what's mine. They stayed frozen, stunned by the reality that I wasn't just another woman scorned. I was a reckoning they never expected. When the door shut behind me, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clear, focused, free. I walked away with nothing material, but with everything they thought I didn't have: proof, power, and the will to watch them burn everything they built on my back. I never looked back. That was their job now. After that night, the silence on their side was deafening. No apologies. No attempts to fix what couldn't be fixed. Just fallout. Within a week, Ethan was served. He called once, left a voicemail that started angry and ended desperate. He begged me not to go public. Said the documents would destroy him. I didn't respond. My lawyer had already submitted everything to the court. Every detail of the financial deception, every misuse of funds, every betrayal. Then the consequences started. Zane lost his job first. The shell company raised red flags. And even though I hadn't named him directly, someone in compliance traced the registration. They found out he signed legal forms without disclosing them. He called to say he was being reviewed internally. I didn't gloat. I warned him. He gambled on Ethan's lies. Now, he was paying the price. Tasha disappeared from social media. A mutual friend told me she moved back in with her parents, and that her marketing clients dropped her after someone anonymously sent them the screenshots of her messages to Ethan. I didn't send them, but I knew who did. Zane. Whether it was guilt or revenge, I didn't care. She was finally getting the isolation she handed to me on a silver platter. Lena tried to fight back. She sent me a cease and desist through a third-rate lawyer, claiming defamation. I sent back a one-page reply. Everything I said is backed by evidence. Try me. She didn't respond again. Last I heard, she and Ethan were barely speaking. She realized too late that Ethan wasn't some grand escape. He was a weight pulling her down. Her boutique took a nosedive. 2 vendors pulled out, probably spooked by the audit. She started liquidating inventory online. Ethan lost everything faster than I expected. The court froze our accounts, and when the investigation flagged his use of marital assets for affairs, he was legally liable to pay me back. He tried to claim emotional stress, said I had planned revenge all along, but none of it stuck. I never broke the law. I never lied. I just documented everything and let the truth do its job. People always assume revenge is fire and fury, but mine was methodical. I made sure every step hurt where it mattered most. Reputation, money, security. They lost all 3. But me? I walked away clean. I moved out of the house before the divorce finalized, left behind the memories but took the hard-earned peace. I didn't post anything online, didn't air the story. The whispers traveled without my help. People knew, and when they asked me what happened, I said the same thing every time. They showed me who they were. I just believed them. I bought a condo, small but mine, paid in full with a portion of savings they hadn't touched. My name only, no shared accounts, no shared lies. Sometimes I get texts, people fishing for updates, try to stir something up. I don't respond. I don't need to relive it. I got my closure the moment I stopped letting them take pieces of me. Zane sent one last message. Said he was sorry. Said he should have been braver. Sooner. I didn't reply. Some bridges are meant to burn, not rebuild. There's a power in letting the truth speak louder than rage. I didn't destroy them with drama. I dismantled their illusions with facts. No yelling, no chaos. Just quiet, calculated exposure. They thought I was weak, that I'd swallow betrayal the way I swallowed their silence, their judgment, their entitlement. But I didn't break. I sharpened, and when it was over, I didn't walk away bitter. I walked away free.